Welcome to Left, Right, and You with Tim Elenz and Paul Edwards. They're talking current events, politics, local, state, and federal. Now here's Tim Elenz and Paul Edwards and Left, Right, and You.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Bolton, there is a blizzard underway in our listening area. Anyone who didn't know that, you were living in Egypt. Crank that Walk Like an Egyptian up there, Dave. Yeah, welcome to Left, Right, and You. How you doing over there, Tim? I'm excellent. Big week. I mean, healthcare gets ruled unconstitutional in Florida, and not just the part about the mandate. They said it could not be severed from the rest of the bill. Therefore, the whole thing is unconstitutional. Of course, that's going to go further. To get that done. Egypt is in turmoil, which I have to tell you, I'm ignorant. I thought that was a great thing at first, and now I'm hearing that the Muslim Brotherhood is basically going to be in charge of, or is co-opting the thing, and so yeah, a lot going on. Big national stuff. Big national stuff.
That's good. We can talk. We want to introduce our guests.
Sure, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, we have Alan sitting in with us, co-hosting with us today. Alan Orlowsky.
Let's give Alan a round of applause.
Applause, Dave. Or do you want to play that?
Thank you for having me.
So Alan's here. Alan's going to ask questions and keep you on your good behavior.
That's impossible.
In case I get up and leave.
Yeah, that's impossible. But then we also have City Councilman John Prigge. So, hey, John, how you doing? A frequent guest. Glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be here. Now to have it part of a long time. What was that marathon? On election night, I was here. Remember?
Oh yeah.
And one guy that was here from Chicago thought I was Tony Perica. Remember?
Yeah, Oten, I believe that was.
That was a crazy night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like George kept throwing papers up in the air, going, "You guys are just nuts."
We had a good time, but it was bad radio.
No, it wasn't actually. No, because Hunsinger called the next day and said it was a great show. So I don't know. I had fun. It was good.
I had a blast. We had a good time. Hey, before we do get started today on Left, Right, and You, I do want to give a little thank you out to my friends at Big Shot Piano Bar and Restaurant in downtown Arlington Heights at 2 South Vale. They've held a couple of functions for me, and on Friday was my daughter's 23rd birthday, and we had a party there for her, and it was an absolute blast. So I just want to thank Larry and Eric and Allie and Christine, all the people who served us and waited on us, and of course the piano player there, John Jones. If you're ever looking to be highly entertained on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, head out to Big Shot in downtown Arlington Heights at 2 South Vale. Great food. And I almost forgot. Thank you, Aga, our wonderful bartender as well.
Aga.
Yeah.
Jeff's on the phone.
Well, we're going to have to hold for Jeff for a second. We got a full house here. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to all of them. That we had a wonderful time, and I go there quite often. It's a really good place if you ever get a chance to go. Okay. So, okay. Where do you want to start, man?
Well, you want to start with Jeff, or what do you want to do?
It's up to you, man. It's your show today. I just living in it.
Oh, okay. I was going to go take a walk and go lick snowflakes outside.
Well, if you do that, we're locking the door. You ain't getting back in.
Let's get Jeff on real quick.
Hey, kids. How are you?
Good. How are you,
man?
What's
how you
up?
doing?
Be safe out there, man. It's a little bit nasty out there, and I got it in 4-wheel drive, so it's not too bad, but it's still slick. So everybody, be safe.
Are you going to listen to the show? You can call back to the councilman because we haven't even started our subject yet. So.
No, I just thought I'd say it real quick because I'm out and about shoveling right now, and I just want to say I hope you guys get a lot more people calling in. I might call back later or something.
Call back, yeah. We always like to hear from you.
And Jeff, if you really like shoveling off air, I'll give you my home address, and you can start over there.
Oh, yeah.
You ought to give him your phone number because, Jeff, if you don't call in, we're going to be worried about you. We're going to have to go looking for you. So you better give him your cell phone number.
Frosty the Snowman.
All right, guys, exactly. I'll let you guys go so we can get on, but, if I don't talk to you, guys be safe and have a great one.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks so much. Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the Elgin issues that we brought John Prigge here to discuss? John, there were two issues that are coming up in front of the city council, in front of the city. One is the Elgin roundabout that they're talking about putting in at Dundee and Summit, and I believe you were the lone dissenter in the council against that. And then there's the idea to spend about $100,000 doing a study about getting rid of or studying about how what to do at Route 20 between Shales Parkway and Randall Road, which currently is an expressway, and would it be better off, I guess, being turned more into like a busier street, like a North Avenue, if I am understanding it correctly. And so, which one would you like to start with?
You pick one, because I'm passionate about both of them.
All right. I want to talk about Route 20 because I ride Route 20, and I like that little expressway thing because for me it's convenient, but that may not be what's in Elgin's best interest. What are your thoughts?
I don't know the whole scenario yet because it's probably going to be deferred until after the election because we're getting a lot of questions. We're seeing some emails, and we're actually hearing from the public in that area, not so much because of what the project might do, but just for the sheer money of it, $97,000. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it as well, $97,000 to see if it's feasible to make that section of Route 20 look like, and that's a great description of North Avenue, or maybe for those who are not going as far east, like Hanover Park, where the speed limit drops to like 45, and you have periodic stops and then intersections where people can jump on. So that's pretty much the concern that I have is the money end of it, and the fact of, that's really the only, other than the tollway, really the only fast way to get across town. And that's when that was built several years ago, dozens of years, probably in the 40s or 50s. It was called Bypass 20, and it was designed to bypass the slower traffic in downtown Elgin when there was slow traffic in downtown Elgin.
Yeah, one of the things, I guess there's this company, Congress for New Urbanism, who's recommended the change or recommending the study, and they're saying that one of the big reasons that you guys meaning the Elgin, need to look at it is that that the current expressway that runs through there lowers the property values of all the residents around there. Is that accurate? Do you think having a North Avenue type of street or just a thoroughfare helps raise the property taxes or the feasibility of that?
I don't know.
Or property values. I'm sorry, I said
right.
Taxes. I said
Sure.
The wrong thing.
I truly don't know. And I guess the question comes down to, do I want to spend $97,000 to find out?
Okay.
And have that only be a portion of what I'm going to find out? At this point, I don't think we're in a condition to lop off $97,000 to have a study done and then come back and then look at it as a long-term thing and decide from there. That's my main concern with that whole scenario.
So this is Alan speaking.
Yeah.
So you're not against the idea just as much as you're against doing it now because the resources aren't there right at this particular point in time.
True. That's a great way to say it with an adder that the state is already going to rework that intersection of Route 20 and McLean Boulevard where many people get off going to Elgin Community College. That intersection is a disaster. Even in a good day, that intersection backs up. The ramp is full going on to 20 as you're getting off if you're heading west. So that's going to be reworked, and there's some concern about what's going to happen to that project if this one gets voted on to where we have all these cutouts. It's going to look pretty. It's going to be like a boulevard with trees in the middle. It's going to look great. But it's going to slow the speed limit down, and it's also going to cause problems that I think are going to impact the neighborhood because now if you look to the north, you have a lot of homes that dead end up against Route 20. You can see that. That's going to impact those streets because a lot of people are going to cut through to get on to 20 from there. So, yes, the money is an issue, and then what's going to happen to the real problem on Route 20, that intersection with McLean, if this goes through.
And I also saw that, I believe it was Dave Captain said that there was an issue that there's been $54 million allocated out of the general fund to do this project, and that if you guys don't move forward with the study, Elgin loses that $54 million. Is that an accurate assessment?
I believe Dave when he says that.
Okay.
I believe when he says that. And that kind of has a coincidental thing with the roundabout because these are both going to affect neighborhoods. They're both going to affect a major intersections for a lot of people. This one's on the west side. The roundabout is Dundee and Summit on the east side.
Yeah. And I guess from my fiscally conservative side, I sit there and say, all right, so if they decide not to do this on a perfectly good road, isn't it $54 million we just didn't spend that maybe the state needs to not be spending anyway on a perfectly good road?
Well, that may be true, but maybe in the long run, it is more advantageous to the community to actually have some type of boulevard-type street there rather than a highway, because if you're in a residential area and you're butting up against a highway, that's going to hurt your property values.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the streets, who's going to be driving through the streets, you can always set up signs, one-way signs, and things like that.
Yeah, and at some point that may be valid, but I would also say that road's been there for 50 years, so I think the property value, they probably got it at the right property value anyway. So it's not like they put this thing in there and the people's property values decreased. The property there has just maybe been undervalued all along, and it could increase. But it sounds like an interesting thing, and it just comes down to, does Elgin want to spend $100,000 to make that decision?
Right.
Moving back to the roundabout real quick. One of the things I saw that I believe you said that there were 14 other intersections that were more dangerous than that one.
Right.
Where did the idea for having a roundabout come up? Why do they think it's a good idea? Why that location? What is the people who are for it? And we did try to get someone else to come on, and we couldn't get anybody to come and speak on it. Why do they want a roundabout to begin with? And
why do I love it so much?
Well, yeah.
Well, from what I was told, is the state of Illinois, which owns Summit, that's Gulf Road, Route 58. They came to us about 10 years ago and said, look, this intersection is screwed up. We've got to fix it. And part of our plan is to add 1 or 2 more lanes here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And it was going to seriously make an impact on the businesses in that corner, in that section, the McDonald's, the dry cleaners, the BP Amoco, the CVS. So what was decided on is an alternative was suggested, coming from the city, that says, wait a minute, we're going to put a roundabout in there. What do you think of that? Now, it would be less intrusive to some of the businesses, but we're going to put a roundabout to alleviate a lot of that problem. And the state said, okay, I guess that's fine. That problem existed 10 years ago at an intersection that I believe has less traffic than it does now. And the traffic right now does not, in my opinion, bear the need for a roundabout. Now, I know there may be statistics there, but I drive through that intersection at least twice a day, sometimes 6 and 8 times a day.
Is that because you made a wrong turn, or? No, come on, just messing with you, Jim.
On my way to patronize my Elgin business.
Okay, no. Great.
But
good answer.
The key to it is that roundabouts do work in the right place. This is the wrong place. And if you make it self-evident, go onto YouTube and just put in roundabout, and you'll see the Missouri Department of Transportation and some other governments, local state governments, have put roundabouts in it and are crazy about it. But look at where they're positioned. They're off of the expressway. They're in a rural setting where you don't have quick stop retail businesses. And I mean quick stop. People that stop in a CVS are probably going to spend per car less time inside CVS than they would Sears or Penny's, Walmart. So they're get in, get out, get in and get out. Same with the BP, same with the McDonald's. I've not seen any working roundabout in that location. Similar also to, you've got Larson Middle School, which has 650 kids. Many of them walk. Many of them will have to go through that roundabout to get to school twice a day. They go and come back. 650 kids, that's 3,900 feet away. We've got a firehouse that's 5,200 feet away. So, I mean, there's roundabouts work. I don't believe they're going to work there. The knock against trying to stop it now is, from what I've heard, is that, well, we've already invested $400,000 in the project, and we're going to have to eat that or rebate the state some of the advance money we've received. And for a lot of Elginites that realize what we had down here, just a few blocks to the south, we had an outdoor mall that that really hurt Elgin. And what you see now is the way it was before the mall was here. So the mall got ripped up, put the streets back to the way they were. I would like to try to examine if that's going to happen here, and I don't know if it will. Once that roundabout's in there, I think we're done for a long time.
Yeah, I really don't know enough about the issue to speak intelligently about it. I know that usually doesn't stop me from speaking.
I was going to say that hasn't stopped you.
But I jumped in there. But one of the quotes that I've got in front of me from one of your councilmen was that the roundabout is the lesser of two evils. And I look at that, just that comment alone, And it's like, aren't we supposed to be making decisions and spending money on things that are going to be good for us, not what is the lesser of two evils? Isn't part of the reason that we're in this scenario that we're in this country, in this state, in this county, in this city, is because we keep choosing the lesser of two evils rather than making good decisions?
I think I know why. It was Councilman Mike Warren that made that, and I think I know what Mike was saying is that he's under the impression that we had at that time two choices: to let the state come in and do what they originally wanted to do, or this counter proposal, and that was it. So I think I see where he's going at it, but I do agree with you. I do agree with you 100%. The issue boils down to also neighborhoods, and I don't think the process to put this in had anything to do with how this is going to impact the neighbors. And you've got residential people on all sides, plus you can probably negotiate it. Somebody living outside of Elgin could probably negotiate it, kind of reluctantly, but all of the local people, and that east side is a dense part of town, all of the local people are going to jump off and cut through on the side streets. So, I mean, I know I will. I'm going to jump off the Titanic before it hits the iceberg. I mean, that's the way I'm jumping off on the side streets. Now, what does that do to the side streets?
Okay, so you're saying that you expect this for the local traffic to really just avoid that intersection and start clustering onto the side streets, which are normally don't carry that much traffic.
Correct.
That's what you think
Correct.
The end result's going to be.
Exactly, and especially when a lot of those side streets have parking on both sides of the street. And this is a bad example, today's weather, but there are going to be times when it's going to be tough to cut down a side street to get to your final destination when you have to make a left-hand turn anywhere. So these are the things that, and I even talked to the designer of this roundabout. I said, have you guys ever done a study? I know it's not your realm, but have you ever heard about a study how this impacts the neighbors? And I go, no. Well, that's my concern. Roundabouts work. I don't believe they're going to work there, and I don't think it's appropriate. There are 14 other intersections in Elgin that some are 2.5 times more dangerous based on our accident figures from 2010. We've had 20 accidents at that intersection. And
that's big, yeah.
That is significant. It is significant. Other intersections, 11 out of the other 14 intersections are all on the west side, and out of those 11, 8 are on Randall Road, 3 are on McLean Boulevard. So if there's ever a need for a roundabout for just safety reasons, go west, young man. That's what I say. Look out west. You can find them all day.
Have you studied whether or not if you put up additional signage or stoplights or lines or whatever, it would reduce the amount of accidents on that intersection?
I don't know the study that I've been told is available tells us from the state that you have to add extra lanes, another turn lane here, another lane going this way, based on the volume that they see. So whether or not that's any safer, I don't know.
I mean, before a decision is made, that should be determined whether or not it's safer or cheaper or better. Culturally in the United States, we just don't have roundabouts. You get on a roundabout and you go, I get confused. Where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's.
I just, when I was in France, I just kept driving in circles.
Yeah, you don't know
took a
where
long
do
time
I get
to get off the
or
roundabout.
turn left. You can't tell what direction you're going in.
Have you ever, Tim or Alan, have you guys actually come up 58 from the east and hit
By Wolf Road?
No, because golf 58 in Dundee and 58 are what we're talking about, where the roundabout here in Elgin is.
Right.
And I know there's the one on Wolf Road,
Right.
but this one, when you're coming up it, have you ever come to that intersection? Because what sort of happens is it almost, rather than 58 just continuing straight, it sort of moves over to the right a little bit if you're coming from the east, and it's sort of, it's a little confusing, but it seems to me that if they just maybe a half a mile back, curve the street a little bit and pointed it when you got to the intersection right at that street, that would be a whole lot easier than all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
it probably wouldn't hurt the businesses either. Like
No,
because would do. It's
yeah.
kind of a silly place to put it.
Yeah, and that is, as John pointed out, there's a CVS on one corner. What else is on those corners?
There's a BP Amoco, and there is a McDonald's there. And from what I've been told, too, that the original plan the state came up with, the McDonald's was going to absorb a tremendous loss of frontage. And this one gives them a little more breathing room, for the McDonald's. And so we're still in the process of acquiring property, and that has to be done, obviously, first. But I think that, for all of the aspects I hear that make roundabouts good, it's just not the right place It's not the right place, and that's why I'm going to be voting no on it. I don't think anybody's looked at the neighborhood. And, we were all elected.
I've actually never seen a roundabout in a commercial area like that. They're usually off a main highway, someplace where there's no stores or residences. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. It really doesn't. And I just think that it's something that was decided 10 years ago. It kind of looks, what do you do in a case like that in local government where a plan is decided on 10 years ago? You make a commitment to have it done, and then what happens if things change? I mean, the 10-year span really hit me because I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I'm thinking 10 years ago she was 3. Oh, my God. That was a long time. That was a real long time.
Well, you think if things change, government should be able to change with the times.
Mm-hmm. You would think, and I think we at the local level have that capability more than a state level does. Right. And that was one of the things that was also, kind of brought up. They said, well, if we let the state come in and do it, they're going to rip up the intersection. We may lose, McDonald's will lose, a couple other businesses will lose. And, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, you know what, then let's have the states, let's have the blood be on the state's hands for that. I mean, I don't know if that's a legitimate response I should have.
It's a state highway, right?
Right, 58,
okay.
Right,
okay.
Gulf Road. So
you have like an engineering department with Elgin. Okay.
So we've committed money to it as
right.
it was done, but that's why I'm voting against it. I think the neighborhood's going to be impacted. I think that it's unnecessary for that intersection, and I know they work, but they don't work where this one's going. I'm pretty well convinced of that.
I think we only got a couple minutes left, and I know that we have to touch the snow issue out there with all the snow. So I was going to ask, as long as we're talking about streets and things.
It's still snowing.
It's going to snow bad. This is the worst storm since some are predicting since 1979 or even 1967.
Yeah, I remember both.
So what's going on in Elgin? I heard they were using pickle juice some places.
Beet juice.
Beef juice?
It's beet.
Beet juice.
B-E-T.
Yeah.
And that melts the ice?
It's a wonderful thing. We voted to have this equipment brought in, to have this done, where we're making it like for pennies a gallon. It's unbelievable, and we're laying it down as a preventative thing.
That's a red fruit or the red vegetable?
Yeah, the one you never ate as a kid.
Right, yeah,
I never ate as a kid.
Right.
It stains your fingers a lot.
It's Halloween. I mean Thanksgiving.
Do you happen to know the freezing point of red beet juice?
Somebody out there with that?
847-931-14. I don't know.
I presume it's ecologically friendly too.
Well, you know what? Dave's got Google. I got Google. We can look that up. That's a very, very valid question.
But we're ready for it. Our public works.
Is it fermented beet juice?
Okay.
Because if it's alcohol, then it would.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. And if it's fermented beet juice, we know where a lot of the rummies in the neighborhood will be tonight. Just saying.
With their straws.
How do you spell beet? B-E-A-T or B-E?
B-E-E-T.
Okay. Well, I hope I don't get some kind of.
It's not like beat the juice out of you. B-E-A-T, Tim.
Beat.
Come on.
Beat the drum.
I wasn't thinking it. I was thinking more of something of a triple X, but that's.
Oh my. Well, one thing that would really help our public works people is to try and get as many cars off of the streets, so our guys can come by and keep swiping at it, because with that wind, it's going to be tough to keep up with it anyway. But just to keep swiping, and please don't shovel the snow into the street.
Has Elgin ever considered building a huge dome over the city for these types of snowy days?
Like Minnesota did?
I'm all for that if we can get rid of the roundabout and the study. So I will propose that as soon as I can. Need a retractable dome.
Yes, over the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's always sunny in
in
Elgin.
Minnesota they try to do that. I think it keeps collapsing out there.
Oh, well, that's the football dome.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it did collapse. But have you ever been in Minnesota in their downtown in Minneapolis? They have skywalks. So in the wintertime, you can walk from building to building to building without ever going outside, which is sort of nice.
Really? And that's got nothing to do with the mall?
No, this is in downtown Minneapolis. They have these skywalks that all the buildings are interconnected, so you never have to go outside in the winter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's
pretty.
Northwest Airlines? Or?
I don't know. It's all the buildings. I don't know if it's all the buildings, but it's many of them in the downtown in Minneapolis. Sort of neat.
We got about a minute left. I know you're not running, so I can't wish you good luck, but it's going to be really interesting what's going to happen. There's 3 seats are up, and how many seats are there in the council?
There are 6 councilmen and a mayor for right now, and in 2013, when I'm going to run, there'll be 2 more, assumedly 2 more council seats coming up at that time for that election.
So 2 more or just 2 election seats?
Oh, two more seats.
Okay.
So
you'll have 8 instead of 6?
9 has to be an
9,
odd number
okay.
total.
Well, the mayor.
Right, with the mayor, right.
Okay.
8 councilmen and a mayor, so a total of 9.
Does this redistricting affect you guys, other than adding 2 more seats? But do they, like, I know all the state reps and all the state senators have to run next year now, from my understanding.
Oh, no.
And do you know that redistricting also applies to the U.S. representatives?
Yeah, we're losing a seat. We're going to lose 1 Congress
It
seat.
won't affect us. We go strictly by population. I know there's talk about a ward system that's been bandied around for a while, but that...
Likelihood?
I don't believe so, and I'm against it.
Why are you against it?
For a couple of reasons. I'll be real brief about it. I don't like the idea of somebody sitting at the table making decisions for all of Elgin and only having to be responsible for the people in their ward. Be responsible to them.
Kind of like ward bosses, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. And frankly, from what I'm hearing, people are fueling this mainly because it's not that they don't feel like they're being represented. It feels like they feel like they've heard what some of the other candidates have spent on their campaigns, and they say, well, that's too much. Some people have spent $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and I didn't spend anywhere near that, and got elected. So I'm against it. Don't like it.
We're getting the hooks coming out.
Good for you.
So we got to get off the air.
Yeah, when we come back in the second half, we're expecting to be joined by U.S. State Representative Dennis Rebelletti to discuss Andrea's Law.
Beautiful.
Good.
Thank you, Councilman.
My pleasure to be here with you guys. You guys
Thanks,
do a good
John.
show.
Thank you for your support.